The same people who said peace was impossible suddenly decided peace wasn't progressive enough. They are now silent about Gaza. Federal money funding drag shows abroad, equity coordinators making more than actual law enforcement officers, and glossy government apps that cost millions and didn't even work. This wasn't helping people. Instead of applause, the internet chose a side. Turning Point USA invited the elderly woman to an event. She got a 2-minute standing ovation. GoFundMe raised $260,000, probably. The people who built their identity on hating Donald Trump can't emotionally survive it. They choose narrative over reality, personality over policy, and virtue signaling over outcomes. And now that it's not working anymore, they've escalated. Welcome to Stay in the Fray podcast. I'm your host, Ryan. This is where headlines get hit hard, hypocrisy gets shredded, and the absurd are laughed at. If you want comfort, this isn't your place. If you want blunt and unfiltered, I'm your guy. Join me in the fray.
All you gotta do is just listen up.
Hey guys, I hope all of you had a fantastic Christmas. New Year's is upon us. All of a sudden, it's the end of the year. I know everybody's doing the 2025 wrap up, and I'm going to join them. This episode will likely drop on New Year's Eve day. So wherever you are tonight when this airs, be smart, be safe, don't be a dumbass. Hurting yourself is one thing. That would suck, but hurting someone else that's innocent sucks even worse. So don't ruin 2026 before it even starts. If you've been with me over this year and before, you already know what I do here. You know who drives me absolutely insane. You know my obsession with hypocrisy, media manipulation, the dangerous little fantasies that come mostly from the woke left. Sadly, the Democratic Party seems to want to embrace it rather than condemn its absurdity. If you're new here, welcome. There's no right time to jump on board. Join me here in the fray. That's what I do. We are a team. I don't sugarcoat things, and I don't pretend that everyone is acting in good faith. This episode is a year-end reckoning. It's not a highlight reel per se, not a here's what happened. This is about what we learned from what happened, what the left exposed about themselves in 2025. Because a lot of good happened this year in the country. A lot of good things are happening. I've brought the receipts through the whole ride this entire year. Instead of acknowledging it, though, most on the left continue to lose their damn minds. The meltdowns are plenty, and the hypocrisy is just part of their costume. Let's begin the reckoning. This is Stay in the Fray podcast. It is December the 29th, airing on December the 31st. It's 2025 for a few more days. Let's roll. So here it is, my thesis for the episode, if you will. The lefty narrative is the real danger. The narrative. People are buying into it, and that's even scarier. The through line of 2025 is the policies worked. They're working. The results showed up, are continuing to show up. The people who built their identity on hating Donald Trump can't emotionally survive it. They choose narrative over reality, personality over policy, and virtue signaling over outcomes. And now that it's not working anymore, they've escalated. So let's start with the stuff they didn't want you focusing on. Border enforcement actually happened. Encounters dropped. Jobs went to citizens. Inflation cooled and stabilized instead of being explained away by economists who've never bought groceries themselves. Manufacturing didn't just transition, it came back. Abroad, Trump brokers a Gaza ceasefire. Is it imperfect? Sure. But hostages came home, Violence paused, and adults are back in the room. The same people who said peace was impossible suddenly decided peace wasn't progressive enough. They are now silent about Gaza. That's the funniest and, I guess, most maddening part. Now that something actually got done in Gaza, do you notice what's missing? There are no riots, no screaming in the streets, no vandalized buildings, no college kids chaining themselves to fences or lighting flags on fire. At least it's all been heavily reduced. Trump helps move the needle towards peace, imperfect peace, real world peace, and suddenly the outraged crowd goes completely silent. No marches, no gratitude, not even a performative thank you. Because it was never about Gaza as a whole. It was about chaos. It was about being mad. And most of all, it was about hating Trump more than they ever cared about innocent people. When they don't get to riot, they don't show up. And then there was DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. They pulled the curtain back on billions in fraudulent contracts, DEI slush funds, bureaucratic money laundering that everyone pretended was necessary spending. I'm talking about tax dollars burned on things like six-figure diversity consultants hired to teach engineers how to listen to silence, climate grants for art installations that literally accomplished nothing, studies on gender identity and niche animal populations, federal money funding drag shows abroad, equity coordinators making more than actual law enforcement officers, and glossy government apps that cost millions and didn't even work. This wasn't helping people. This was ideological indulgence. A ruling class lighting your money on fire so they could cosplay moral superiority on your dime. It's funny how the trust the experts vanished the second the receipts showed up. And they had the balls to complain and cry about a White House ballroom being built with private funding and how this administration is a ruling class. It's not. These weren't accidents. These were outcomes. And outcomes are kryptonite to ideologues. All right, I want to talk about this notion of personality versus policy when it comes to the president or any other politician. I have this discussion with my best friend a lot, and he says, I don't want my president to be an asshole. All right, I say, fair enough. But does Trump being an asshole, subjectively, make you want to abandon policies that he'll push? The left doesn't hate Trump's policies as much as they hate him. They hate that he fights back after years of slandering against him, trying to jail him, putting himself and his family in constant danger. They hate that he doesn't apologize for existing. They hate that he doesn't beg them to like him. History's greatest leaders weren't polite. They weren't all liked. They were effective. But these people think they are the moral compass, as if history appointed a bunch of blue check activists and NPR interns as the conscience of civilization. Like they are perfect. I would love to look into most of their closets to check on those skeletons. That arrogance is what poisoned this year the most, in my opinion. And then we get to the part they still refuse to talk about honestly. Charlie Kirk was murdered September 10th, 2025. Not controversial, not divisive. He was assassinated. And the response from the left told you everything you needed to know right now. Excuses, deflection, the both sides nonsense. And some celebrated like their favorite trans athlete destroyed a biological woman in the Olympic boxing ring. The same people who faint over mean tweets and posts suddenly found nuance when conservative voice was silenced permanently. The right called for calm, for conversation, for humanity. The left, they couldn't even pretend to condemn it. The people who spoke and speak poorly of Charlie don't have the brain power or straight up desire even, to truly listen to what he said. He preached family, faith, and freedom. Those are three pretty great things. You didn't have to agree with everything he believed in that regard, but that's the point. The lack of context used by people who are clueless in regards to Charlie is telling. He was simply on the other team, so they'll cheer his death. It's disgusting. 2025 was also the year the legacy media finally stopped hiding the scam. Take the BBC edit scandal, splicing up Trump's January 6th speech to manufacture intent. Errors, they said. Funny how the errors only ever go one direction. Trump is suing them, and good. How about the Minnesota fraud right now? That's going on now. Massive welfare theft, fake registrations, systemic corruption. And yet we're told we are the threat to democracy for simply asking questions about those things. And Minnesota somehow managed to top itself. These insane leaders, Walz and Omar and all those guys, they're just destroying the state. It's really sad. It's embarrassing the country, quite frankly. There's an independent journalist now, Nick Shirley, and some others, but Nick has come out as a young man and started digging into these so-called children's learning centers in Minnesota that pull in millions of taxpayer dollars every single year. It sounds wholesome, except they're missing one tiny detail. The fucking kids. Nick went to multiple locations, middle of the week, 10 in the morning, prime learning hours. And guess what he found? Locked doors, empty buildings, no teachers, no parents, no children. Nothing. Just shell organizations collecting checks, sitting dormant for days, while the state kept wiring money like it was a charity subscription they forgot to cancel. And when people asked questions, suddenly that was racist, dangerous, misinformed. It's funny how accountability is always offensive when the scam beneficiaries fit the right political profile. This is why trust is gone. And this is why people on my side are pissed. This isn't propaganda. This is happening. This is why people do not believe the left anymore, or the media. They tried to tell you to stop noticing, and people like Nick, to his credit, showed you why. And the fact that some people can still align with that side of things, knowing all this, is the true problem. This is the perfect snapshot of 2025 I'm about to give you. It is the emotional spine, if you will. If you want the cleanest, most honest snapshot of where this country is right now, it's not a think piece. It's not a poll. It's not some expert panel on CNN. It's a 72-year-old woman working at Target, wearing a shirt. It's a red shirt. They're allowed to wear that at Target. It was a freedom shirt that honored Charlie Kirk. That's it. That was the crime. She's minding her own business, clocked in, hanging clothes, working, doing her job, wearing a shirt supportive of a man who shared her views, family, faith, freedom. A man who was assassinated in front of his wife and kids. And some fully grown left-wing lunatic Karen decides that that gives her the moral authority to ambush her, filming her, screaming at her, cursing, calling her fucking stupid, accusing her of supporting a racist, even though I guarantee you she couldn't articulate a single actual thing Charlie Kirk ever said. Just vibes, slogans, rage, slander. You've seen this video, and if you haven't, I'm not playing it all for you because I have a lot to get to. Go look it up. I'm sure you've seen it already, and if not, just type in elderly Target woman, yelled at. I'm sure you'll find it. But what did the old lady do? She didn't scream back. She didn't insult her. She didn't melt down. She calmly said, "He's not a racist. Have a nice day," and tried to walk off. That contrast tells you everything. One side is fueled by moral tantrums and social media validation. The other wears a shirt, goes to work, and refuses to be bullied into silence. Let's be very clear about what was happening here. This wasn't bravery on the Karen's part. This wasn't activism. It was self-appointed hall monitor for ideology. Who the hell does that woman think? Who does she think she is? Charging up on a senior citizen at her workplace like she was dispensing justice? That is the left in 2025. Screaming moral superiority while knowing absolutely nothing except who they're supposed to hate. And here's the part that woman didn't anticipate. She hit record, thinking she was about to be crowned a hero in her community. She thought the internet was going to clap. She thought she'd get praise, likes, job offers, maybe a nonprofit board seat for standing up to hate. Instead, reality showed up, and it keeps me hopeful. Reality didn't care about her feelings at all. The video definitely went viral, as I mentioned, but not the way she had hoped. Instead of applause, the internet chose a side. Turning Point USA invited the elderly woman to an event. She got a 2-minute standing ovation. A GoFundMe raised $260,000, probably more by now, for having to go through that. I'm guessing that the elderly woman doesn't need to work at Target anymore, and good. Meanwhile, the woman who harassed her, the most dangerous thing about people like her isn't the screaming, it's the delusion. She genuinely believed she was morally untouchable, that the rules didn't apply to her, that her politics were a permission slip. And when the illusion shattered, she didn't apologize. She panicked. She's not working either now, by the way, but for a different reason. She was fired, and good. Not cancel culture, nope, not oppression, consequences. You don't get to scream obscenities at a random Target employee in the name of virtue signaling, then film it, then post it, and cry victim when society decides you're the problem. This is where we are now. The left performs outrage for clout. The right quietly shows up, and when pushed far enough, the public backs them. That incident wasn't an exception. It was a mirror. So let's lightning around some of the greatest hits of the left-wing hypocrisy of 2025. Because there were a ton of them. Go back and watch the episodes. I brought receipts every time. Trump helped stop or cool multiple global conflicts. De-escalation in Gaza, as mentioned. Pressure campaigns that shut down proxy wars before they spread. African conflicts that had been bloodbaths for decades. No more. No new U.S. wars. And the bombing of Iran was not a war, no matter how much you want it as a talking point. Somehow, the same people who screamed, World War III with Trump, they just stopped talking about it. Funny how peace isn't impressive when it doesn't come with a pride flag. Then there is the daily buzzword machine. I think 2025 just magnified that to no end. We've all been called these things. Racist, sexist, fascist. These words mean nothing anymore because they used them on anyone that they didn't agree with. Usually because they had no logic to begin with. It lets the people who are truly these things, true racists, fascists, neo-Nazis, it lets them off the hook quite a bit. They like to yell racist while openly hating white people, pushing race-based policies, deciding skin color determines guilt. Sexist while cheering women getting beaten up in sports, stripped of records, and told to shut up and share locker rooms with biological men, penises and all. Fascist. This one gets me probably the most because you don't know what it means. You shout that word while using threats, coercion, censorship, deplatforming, doxing, and physical intimidation to enforce ideological compliance. That's the definition. Which side's doing it? If you don't agree with them, you don't get debated. You get labeled one of these things. And once you're labeled, anything done to you is justified all of a sudden. That is not tolerance. It's not progress. It's definitely not compassion. That is true authoritarianism. And here's the irony. They accuse everyone else of violence while their side burns cities, blocks traffic, intimidates judges, threatens politicians, and celebrates when their enemies are hurt or killed. There is nothing more hypocritical than that, ladies and gentlemen. When a movement has to redefine every word to survive, they've already lost. So as this year wraps up, here's the real takeaway for me. This summarizes everything for us here at Stay in the Fray podcast. 2025 didn't just expose bad ideas. It exposed an entire worldview slowly drifting into an alternate universe. One where words don't mean what they used to, facts are optional, and outrage replaces thought. My honest hope is that it continues to fade, that this era becomes a blip something future generations look back at and say, yeah, that got weird for a minute. But here's why I do this show. Because getting to that point where this becomes a blip isn't just automatic. We need to help it. People don't have unlimited time. I get that. Most folks aren't sitting down to cross-check sources or dig through transcripts. They see a clip on Instagram, a headline on X, a soundbite stripped of context, BBC, and they run with it. And suddenly we're not debating reality anymore. We're fighting over narratives and headlines. My goal here is simple. Receipts. I don't pretend to have every answer. I don't pretend to know every detail about everything going on. But I won't talk about things that I can't back up. And I'll call out the people who do. Friends will give me a hard time sometimes. They say, Ryan, people really don't care as much as you think they do. This is so few people in the big scheme. And I don't agree. Because it's the people who don't care, the ones who shrug, the ones who look away and say, it's really just not, it's not that bad. That worries me the most, probably. That kind of complacency is how a country slowly stops being what it was meant to be. Listen, I don't live in panic mode. I can't. Sometimes I have to check out mentally, especially with all the trolls on social media. I need to check out. I need to be a dad, be a husband, be a friend, touch grass, live life, play golf, watch football. But pretending none of this is happening at all, that scares me more than the chaos itself. So if you've been here this year, thank you. 2025 helped me grow, sharpen my focus, and double down on calling out hypocrisy and the real danger behind the woke left's moral theater. Season 6, which is most of 2025, matters. Check it out if you haven't. Go back and look at some of the commentary that I've given on a lot of these things. It's not just delivering you what happened. It's trying to look at it from reality, from a perspective that isn't rhetoric. And in 2026, I don't know exactly what season 7 will look like. I may change some things. I may take a different approach to things. I do know this. I'll keep showing up, keep it honest, and I'll keep it entertaining. I'll be bringing on guests from every possible viewpoint. I know I've said that before. Kids and time have taken over. But I am going to have more guests. So if you're tired of just hearing me talk, there will still be a reason to swing on by. All I ask, like the show, subscribe, all those things. Pass it to one other person, one that's either like-minded to us and wants to maybe vent through somebody, or people on the other side that may just need to hear it. I appreciate all of you more than you'll ever know. This show does not exist without the people on our side and the other side hopefully listening, thinking, and pushing back. I welcome that. I truly wish everybody the best 2026 that you can possibly have. So until then, stay curious, stay sharp, stay honest, stay in the fray. I love you guys.
All you gotta do is just listen up.